Welcome to another episode of Let's Talk About It. I am your host, Chik. Today, we're going to react to the video, or should I say an apology that was made on a Friday of last week by one of the Sky News anchor who made some hurtful remarks last year, I think about 6 or 7 months ago, and there was a 2 minutes apology, a so-called apology that she made, and to the system and to the community, the South Sudanese community residing in Victoria, specifically in Melbourne, felt very hurt, very humiliated, and very offended by that 2 seconds or 2 minutes apology. So then she came back on Friday last week, and she made another so-called an apology. So let's listen to it, all right?
In June last year, while commenting on the COVID-19 pandemic, the escalation of new infections in Victoria and various public health measures, I incorrectly linked the South Sudanese community to a cluster of cases that had developed following an end of Ramadan dinner in Melbourne's northern suburbs. This was factually wrong, and I again deeply regret the error. On the basis of that error, I made various other statements that I accept have caused genuine hurt and offence to South Sudanese community members. It was not my intention. My statements were understood to mean that the South Sudanese community had been reckless, irresponsible, or even deliberate in breaching social distancing requirements, that the community had failed to adapt its cultural practices like other Australians, and that this was putting Australians at risk. I do not believe there was any truth to those inferences. Since June last year, I have met several times with a number of community representatives, and it is clear my comments offended members of this community and made them feel they were being blamed because of their race for Victoria's ongoing COVID infections. While I broadcast an apology on the 29th of June last year, 2020, I said that I stood by other statements I made. I now realise the apology was too limited and caused further offence, which was not my intention. Today and in coming months, I want to correct the record. The South Sudanese community was not involved in the end of Ramadan cluster, and indeed more than 93% South Sudanese-born members of the community are Christian, not Muslim. The South Sudanese community were not making excuses, and to the best of their ability, members of the community were educating each other, maintaining social distancing, changing their cultural practices, and doing what was required to be COVID safe. The South Sudanese community's compliance with COVID restrictions is not affected by a lack of English language skills, although I said that 15% of the Sudanese-born community speak virtually no English, and that many South Sudanese, especially women, were banned from attending school in their former homeland. What the statistics actually show is that the overwhelming majority, 96.5% of South Sudanese-born migrants, speak some English, with around 84% speaking only English or speaking English well or very well. The statistics also show that a large proportion of South Sudanese-born migrants are educated. I also was not clear that I was using statistics of South Sudanese-born migrants, and did not mention that many members of the community were born in Australia, educated here, and read, write and speak English perfectly well. Some South Sudanese women felt I particularly singled them out for unfounded criticism, which I deeply regret. I said that 32% of South Sudanese-born migrants were officially unemployed, and that 70% earned less than $800 a week. But these statistics do not include persons of South Sudanese descent who were born here. I also did not say that the same ABS data on which I relied shows that the majority of all Victorians earn less than $800 a week. Lastly, I implied that the culture of the South Sudanese community is about gang membership, unemployment, and an inability to speak Australia's national language, to the point of not even knowing about social distancing. That was deeply offensive. I extend to the South Sudanese community my sincerest apologies for these errors and the hurt, humiliation and offence caused by the broadcasts. The South Sudanese community, like all communities, has taken steps to adapt to the challenges of the pandemic and to embrace Australia while understandably maintaining their own cultural identities. I recognise this is a complex issue which I am fairly simplified. What I have come to better understand is how keen the South Sudanese community is to have the breadth of their experience represented in the media, and that it isn't just focused on negative stories. We in the media haven't given enough of a voice to the positive contribution many South Sudanese Victorians make to the broader Australian community, as well as those within the South Sudanese community. In the coming months, we'll be running some stories to remedy.
Wow. What a tool. What a tool. Well, it is that offensive. It is that degrading and insulting, humiliating, and very hard, really, to put in words. To be honest, when she made that report or that video that she referenced in this so-called apology last year in June, someone sent it to me, and I came and listened to it, and in my head, like my initial reaction first was, what a brutal, dishonest, heartless liar she was. And she went and came back, right? Several months later. I'm gonna have to put a link to that previous video, and I hope it is on YouTube, because even with this one here, someone sent it to me, right? So I didn't really have time to check it on YouTube to see if it's there, but I'm certain Sky News might have uploaded it. So I will have to just, put the link under this video, right? So you guys can go and listen to the that previous video where she was basically, right, attacking the South Sudanese people residing in Melbourne or Victoria per se. So I would like to say to the Sudanese people who will go and listen to this video, and the Sudanese who have listened to this lady's video last year and this year, I want you to observe a few things here, because I'm not making anything up. I look at this video when someone sent it to me, and I quickly identify that the nature of the video does not fit to be an apology, but rather further add fuel into the existing fire. And here is why. The apology was deliberately, delivered at 10 p.m. on a Friday night. 10 p.m. on a Friday night. Just think about that. Let it sink in, right? Let that sink in. 10 p.m. on a Friday night. Number one, it was late. Number two, it was Friday night. Number three, at that time, 10 p.m., and it is a Friday night, is when people who drinks, they drinks. And whatever you say, they can't even hear it, okay? Or even though they hear it, they are just focusing on whatever they're drinking, right? But they won't listen to your remarks, okay? That's why I said it was deliberately delivered on purpose. And as we know as well, like I said, it was disingenuous, it was insincere, and it was ultimately forced by the modern media, I think, right? Or somebody that is higher than her. The body language that I mentioned before, you can see she was very uncomfortable and in pain delivering it to you guys, because it was that insincere apology, which should further offend you anyway. And with that, she need to apologize for giving us an insincere apology that did not come from their heart. Because their intention is to tear you guys apart. Their intention is to project you to the wider Australians that you guys are the, illiterate people. You guys are people who, deny your women a chance to educate themselves, right? Chance for education. You guys live on welfare, and then with that too, like with welfare, welfare was founded in 1997, right? And it was agencies that used to give, okay, to the less fortunate people. Government saw it and they said it's a good idea. So they then integrate all those agencies together and they made it Centrelink. That Centrelink was designed and until this day, okay, as a organization, all right, that gives to disabled people, okay, people who have lost their job, students, pensioners, and families, right? So people that don't have job, people that don't have capacities to work, okay, people for whatever reason can't support their families or themselves, okay. This was how Centrelink came along, okay, and supported and endorsed by the government. And remember, we came just yesterday. We haven't been here for a long time. Centrelink has been around for 25 years. We have been around for less than 15 years. Okay, maybe say less than 18 years for most of us. Okay, less than 18 years. That means Centrelink was created, founded, okay, and launched in our absent. So we came to the system that was already established, system that was up and running. Now, how did we become top of it? And statistically, too, we are less in numbers. Okay, we are not even 500,000 people in Australia, and in that 500,000 people, right, 40% are working. Only 10% depend on welfare. For what reason? Number one, maybe the elderly people. Number two, they are students. Number three, okay, they are looking after their kids, which fall under the category of why the Centrelink was founded. She said before that huge numbers of South Sudanese people are not educated. They can't speak English, which is false. And she came and tried to correct that, but then she came around and about as a liar as well, because those data that she was trying to present to you guys are manipulated. Okay, she just made them up, because if there was data that she was basing her apology on, she would have provided the numbers, but she didn't. She just said the data. What data? Okay, but I can tell you that majority, in fact, of South Sudanese people, they came here when they were little, and most of them were born here. And as soon as they go to high school, right, 13, 14, 15, they go straight to work. They go to Coles, they go to Woolworth, they work at IGA, they go to McDonald's, they go to Hungry Jack's, they work at Domino's, they work at all these places that take them in, right? And that will give them experience, and then after that, when they graduate, they will go to university, and after university, they will be ready for work, right? More work. That means they are contributing into the economy of this great nation, all right? And they are speaking perfect English, perfect, because these are Australians. And people who came like myself, who were in their 20s, right? We too came and learned the language that people speak in this country. I hope you people will find this video so you can judge what this video is about, because the damage has already been done, and I get that. We get that, but there is still time to correct the records. There is still time for you Australians to look at the media and the politicians, okay, and say, wait a minute, I need to make my decision, right? These people are not bad as the media portray them. These people are not as dangerous as the politicians preach them to us. These people are just like any other communities. So maybe we need to get to know them more. Maybe we need to employ them. Maybe we need to, to bring them more into our communities, and maybe we need to accept them more. Because the only reason why South Sudanese has stood out, or the only reason why South Sudanese stands out, is because of the color. Honestly, like that's it. Because we stand out more than other communities. And I'm well aware because the history shows that the treatment that South Sudanese are facing in Australia was the same treatment that the Vietnamese went through, the same treatment that the Chinese went through, the same treatment that the Greeks went through, the same treatment that the Italian went through, the same treatment that other communities who migrated, immigrated, or seek asylum, okay, or came here as refugees went through. We get that, but we're different because we stand out. That is the only difference. But we are working very hard, day and night, to give back to this great nation. Now, a point I would like to make here, right? The point I would like to make about this lady, she is the heart and soul of power and politics in Australia, which means she has money. So it's not easy to get to a person like that, right? And then she has allies, okay? But it goes to tell you the system of this country, right? And I will read it to you, right? In September 2013 to September 2015, this lady was a chief of a staff, okay, to the Prime Minister's office, our former Prime Minister, Tony Abbott. That tells you everything that you need to know if you're a person who pays attention. It tells you everything that you need to know. And to this day, by the way, she is a political commentator and she's a journalist. So she has quite a unique profile reporting these things. And she said, right, when she's reporting, she said that her news are honest with what you just heard. Okay? So with that being said, my take in all of this, right, because I'm now coming to an end, if there is something I've forgotten, you guys can go and add that in the comment section, or you guys can react because the video is out there. You guys can react as well and add what you need to add as well, right? Because sometimes when you are speaking, it is very difficult to really, comprehensively put everything together, right? Because it is speaking and you forget things as you speak. And I was not prepared, to, details everything because I didn't want this video to be a 3-hour video or more, right? But at least it is longer than an apology, because if you go back and listen to that video, the first video that she made in June, she spoke for about, right? She spoke for about 7+ minutes. And she came back and apologized for under 2 minutes. Okay, the second apology. The third, which is what I'm reacting to now, she apologized for just under 4 minutes. Just imagine that. That's why I said it is so insincere and dishonest as it comes. And that's why it further offends us. Okay? And like I was saying, okay, let me quickly, I'm about to forget something really important. That I want to share with you guys, right? So this goes to tell you, okay, the power of the media, the lies that the media, okay, keep preaching time and time again. And I'm glad you guys can see now clear as day, right? So I went and researched, okay, what the media would say about these things. First, the Guardian. Here is what the Guardian said. Sky News host Peta issues a lengthy apology to South Sudanese community over COVID comments. That is Guardian, right? That is their headline. It read, Sky News host Peta issues lengthy apology to South Sudanese community on COVID comments. Lengthy, okay? Now take notes. The second one is the Sydney Morning Herald, right? Here is the headline. Peta apologized for false South Sudanese claims. The Sky News host has issued a lengthy on-air apology to Victoria's South Sudanese community after anger about a program in which she falsely blamed them for Melbourne COVID-19 outbreak last year. That is the Sydney Morning Herald, right? Now, you have SBS, the channel you all love. I'm talking to South Sudanese here because I've seen it, all of you with SBS, right? Here is what they said. Sky News host Peta has issued a lengthy on-air apology to South Sudanese community members after she blamed them for a cluster in Melbourne last year. The apology came around half a year after Sky News Australia released an apology on her behalf for the comments. Right? This is SBS saying this, all right? They said that she has issued a lengthy on-air apology to South Sudanese community members after she blamed them for a cluster in Melbourne last year. All right? Now, here is what they call TV Tonight, right? It says, Peta, okay, Sky News presenter makes detailed and lengthy apology to South Sudanese community of Melbourne after 2020 COVID claim, right? They said Sky News presenter makes detailed, lengthy apology to South Sudanese community of Melbourne after 2020 COVID-19. All of these, they said, she made a lengthy apology to the South Sudanese community. So, to me, I'm not surprised because that is the media. That's what gives them tick, okay? That's what gives them click, right? That's what gives them money. That's what gives them viewers. They have to lie. They have to create these kind of headlines. But it is up to you, the people, to at least put some sense in it and at least be human for once and think for yourself. Don't let anybody think for you. Because I'm sitting right here in front of the camera. I can say anything right now, right? But if you're not careful enough to go and do your research, then you will go and take it as facts because I've said it. And probably you listen to me, okay? So I'm telling you and I'm advising you to listen and interpret things and think for yourself. Because it is clear that being a journalist, you don't need to have a proper research, a proper investigation, a proper intellectual capability to broadcast. Anybody can be a journalist. So that means they lie and no one call them out for their lies because they don't have any sophisticated and professional credentials on the profile. So my final advice to the South Sudanese community residing in Victoria, you guys need to sue this news network or this lady particularly for defamation because she has damaged, she has destroyed, she has humiliated, she has tarnished, she has stained, degraded our people and our dear community. It is your job now to take this into your own hands and make it a legal matter because this apology is not an apology, but rather a further fuel that was put on fire, okay, already existing fire. And I'm telling you, there is no bribery that is worth your integrity. There is no bribery that is worth your value. There is no bribery that is worth your culture. There is no bribery that is worth your community. Protect our community because it is your time as leaders, as members of the academic society to take this matter, all right, further and make it a legal matter. I'm not asking you guys to go and lash out and be abusive. That is not how you put your point across. You have to refrain from being emotional and being reactive, right? You have to reason. You have to reason on on an intellectual and professional human level and make your voice heard. Thank you so much for listening. As always, stay tuned, stay positive,